The Haunting of Hammersmith Bridge. The sky over London was a deep, inky black, marred only by the faintest flickering of stars. It was unusually quiet for a city that never slept, as if the very air was holding its breath, anticipating something terrible. The few pedestrians that roamed the streets that night had no idea what was about to unfold, nor did they know the chilling tale that would become an urban legend. The story began with an unsuspecting young couple, John and Mary, who had moved into a beautiful but aged Victorian home near Hammersmith Bridge. They were charmed by its elegance and character, blissfully unaware of the dark history that would soon envelop their lives. It wasn't long before strange occurrences began to plague the couple. At first, it was just the feeling of being watched, or the inexplicable cold spots that would appear in the house. But as the weeks passed, the oddities grew in intensity. Whispers of John's name echoed through the halls, and Mary saw shadows dart across the walls, vanishing as quickly as they appeared. Desperate for answers, John delved into the history of the house, scouring local archives for any hint of what could be causing the disturbances. The search led him to an article from the early 1900s, detailing the gruesome murder of a young woman named Emily. The incident had occurred in the very same house, and Emily's body had been found near Hammersmith Bridge. Haunted by the connection, John could not shake the feeling that Emily's spirit still lingered in their home. He confided in Mary, and together they decided to consult a medium to help them communicate with the restless spirit. The medium, a wizened old woman named Madame Leclerc, arrived at their home one stormy evening. As she crossed the threshold, she shuddered, sensing the heavy presence that clung to the house. They gathered around a small table, the room lit by flickering candlelight. Madame Leclerc closed her eyes and began to speak in hushed tones, calling out to Emily. The temperature in the room plummeted, and the candles flickered wildly, as if an unseen force was toying with them. Suddenly, the medium's voice changed, adopting a higher pitch, and her body trembled. She spoke with urgency, recounting the horrible events of Emily's last moments. She revealed that the young woman had been brutally murdered by her jealous lover, who had disposed of her body near Hammersmith Bridge. The spirit was trapped in the house, tormented by the injustice of her untimely death. John and Mary listened in horror, their hearts aching for the tragic figure. They pleaded with Madame Leclerc to help them set Emily's spirit free. The medium nodded, explaining that they needed to find the murder weapon and cast it into the river by the bridge. Only then would Emily's soul be at peace. The search for the weapon took days. John and Mary scoured the house, tearing apart walls and ripping up floorboards. Finally, in a hidden compartment beneath the hearth, they found a rusted knife, its blade still stained with dried blood. As night fell, they set out for Hammersmith Bridge, the weight of the knife heavy in John's hand. The wind howled around them, and the bridge seemed to loom menacingly in the darkness. Their hearts raced as they reached the center of the bridge, and John hesitated for a moment, holding the knife over the railing. A sudden gust of wind tore the knife from his grip, and it plunged into the churning waters below. They watched as the dark river swallowed the weapon, hoping that Emily's spirit would finally find solace. As they turned to leave, a figure emerged from the shadows, her face pale and eyes hollow. The couple stared in terror as Emily's ghost appeared before them, her gaze filled with anguish. She whispered her thanks, and as the words left her lips, the apparition dissolved into the night air. John and Mary returned home, their hearts lighter but still heavy with the knowledge of the horrors that had transpired within their walls. They spent the night in fitful sleep, haunted by dreams of the bridge and the ghostly figure that had once inhabited their home. The days and weeks that followed were eerily quiet. The house seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, the oppressive atmosphere lifting like a fog. The whispers and shadows that had once tormented the couple were gone, and they began to rebuild their lives. But the tale of Emily's ghost would not be forgotten. The story spread like wildfire throughout the community, with neighbors and friends recounting the chilling tale. Hammersmith Bridge became a site of whispered conversations and fearful glances as the urban legend took root. Years passed, and the haunting story of Emily's ghost became entrenched in local lore. Parents would tell the tale to their children, warning them to avoid the bridge after dark. Teenagers dared each other to venture onto the bridge at night, their bravado fueled by a mix of curiosity and terror. It seemed that the bridge had taken on a life of its own, the legend casting an eerie shadow over its once innocent structure. As the years turned to decades, the city around Hammersmith Bridge evolved, its landscape shifting to accommodate the ever-changing needs of its inhabitants. The once thriving Victorian neighborhood faded into history, making way for modern developments and sleek glass towers. But the legend of Emily's ghost remained, a chilling reminder of the city's darker past. John and Mary eventually grew old, their once fiery passion for the paranormal tempered by age and experience. Yet they continued to share their story with anyone who would listen, a cautionary tale that bridged the gap between the living and the dead. One fateful night, on the anniversary of their encounter with Emily's spirit, the elderly couple made their way to Hammersmith Bridge, the weight of years heavy on their shoulders. They stood at the center of the bridge, just as they had done so many years before, and cast a bouquet of flowers into the river below. As the petals danced on the surface of the water, a soft whisper filled the air, the breeze carrying the faintest hint of gratitude. John and Mary exchanged knowing glances, their eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and relief. They knew that Emily's spirit had found peace, her soul finally released from the tragic events that had bound her to the bridge for so long. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more true scary stories.